Hello YouTube, and hello to you, my fellow metalheads. This is Duke Grishnock checking in for a brand new video once again. Today, I'm going to be talking about the more modern black metal bands that I particularly enjoy. Like I said in my last video, I had to divide it into two separate parts, and this is the other part. Talked about the early stuff, now I'm talking about the more later stuff. So I'm just going to hop right in there. The first band I'm going to put out there is a band that has a solid fan base, and if the average person knows if a black metal band, it's probably this band over others if they're just like an average Joe Schmo on the street. That being said, this band doesn't like straight up consider themselves a black metal band. They are, but they also have like gothic metal and some other kind of other things thrown in there. But that is going to be Cradle of Filth. And I know a lot of people don't like them, and a lot of people like absolutely fucking love them. I really like them. Some of their albums are a little but the particular reason I'm putting them on here is they're really the first black metal band that I ever like actively listened to or got into. And yeah, I mean, without them, I probably would not have, although it took me a handful of years, I probably wouldn't have had the drive to look into black metal, because I think the issue that a lot of people have with black metal, they look at it as sort of a joke or childish, with the sort of fashion, the corpse paint, and all the over-the-top fucking nails, and then dark clothing, and like pseudo-names, like I'm, Lord Balthazar of the Ninth Hell, and whatever the fuck some of bands have as their characters or whatever. And that's kind of why I steered away from it. And that's why I kind of like got into Cradle of Filth. Is yeah, they kind of have like some corpse paint, but they didn't have all the cliche shit that I thought was what black metal was about when I was like, in like middle school and high school and shit. And that's why I put Cradle of Filth on here, because a lot of people know them. They're probably one of the few black metal bands that the average person here or there might recognize. And that's why I'm putting them on there, because they help bring in a lot of new people into black metal, and they, even if you don't listen to them regularly or you found other black metal bands that you prefer, if you still stumble upon some Cradle of Filth from time to time, and you're like, oh yeah, I know that shit. And it's like, you get some like nostalgia feeling in it, and that's why I like them. Throw them in every once in a while, and it like reminds me of the good old days before I listened to black metal. The next band is Carach Angren. I'm talking about them next because in some ways they're similar to Cradle of Filth in the fact that they're more on the melodic side of things. That being said, they are two completely different bands. Just like Dimmu Borgir as well. They kind of get lumped together, but I honestly think Carach Angren is the better of them, in my personal opinion. The reason I like Carach Angren so much is because they do have a very unique sound, and they do go back and forth between the high-pitched screams and the low, like, traditional growls of death metal and whatnot. So there's, like, some variance in their music there. And on top of that, it goes far beyond that in the fact that they use violin fairly regularly and keyboards. And it's not enough that it's like gimmicky or over the top. It really like adds to the atmosphere of the music. And that's why I like them, because they do have some atmospheric elements in some of their songs that are really cool. On top of that, I really like their storytelling abilities. Each album is a concept album, and I really like that. They've basically described they don't really straight up consider themselves a black metal band. They really consider themselves as like a horror metal band, which doesn't really exist. And I don't really like the term, because that it's the same thing with like Viking metal and pirate metal and shit like that. It's like that's lyrical content. It's not a real genre of music, but that's fine. That's why I really like them, because they have a creepy horror vibe to them. On top of that, they have a historical vibe because they talk about World War II in some of their albums. And I'm sure they're gonna talk about other wars and other similar historical times, because that's just kind of what they do. They'll talk about fairy tales, or they'll talk about a ghost Nazi ship invading some poor passerby. Just, yeah, it's kind of all over the place, and I really like the idea of concept albums. So yeah, that's why I like Carach Angren. Forest of Stars. Really, really interesting band, to say the least. Decent sized band. I mean, I don't know how many people are in it, like 6 or 7 or 8. I really don't know. But they do have a regular violinist as like an actual consistent person, not just, like a member that does shit on the albums and then they just kind of throw in a computer sound effects that they manage. They literally have a violinist, keyboard and accordion from time to time, and some other shit, and flute and all sorts of shit. And on top of that, I think you don't have to be a black metal fan to be into A Forest of Stars, because of the fact that they do have a decent amount of clean singing vocals in it, both male and female. So if you're not a fan of the just in-your-face, high-pitched screaming like a lot of black metal bands, you should really try out Forest of Stars. Even if you do not like black metal, I still recommend, if you like metal, they're a very interesting band. They kind of just go up and down and up and down in the song, and it, you never know what's going to happen. They don't have a set song structure that they follow all the time. Like, every fucking song is a unique aspect in itself, let alone by their albums. And that's why I like Forest of Stars, is because you never know really what you're going into if you haven't heard the song yet. Yeah, another thing I like about them is, they don't really use the corpse paint and all, and they have a unique vibe, because they're from the UK, and they're not trying to act like they're from Norway or Sweden or Finland or whatever. They're like, yeah, we're British. So they actually sing their songs as if they are from the Victorian era, in the UK. So it's really neat, because they're like, yes, we are a British black metal band. So we're going to say, just like you guys sing about the freezing Arctic North, we're going to sing about how it's always gloomy and rainy and misty and shit. And I don't know, whatever England's like. But so I really like them, because they're not cliche, and they're a very unique band. And you don't really have to be into black metal to get into their music. I wouldn't straight up call them a black metal band. They're a black influenced band. They have a decent amount of folk influences as well. Just a very unique band. I don't really know what else to say about that. I think I've nailed the hammer and the nail right in the post long enough. So, anyway. Numenorean, they only have one album, and I actually stumbled upon them, like, unintentionally, not thinking I was going to hit a gold mine. The only reason I clicked on their album and just, watching some YouTube videos and whatnot, and it was just in a suggestion, because I listen to a lot of black metal, and it just kind of showed up in my suggestion list, and I was like, what the fuck? I wasn't sure if it was a crime documentary or if this was an album when I clicked on it. I mean, I assumed it was music, but anyway, so their debut album, Home, has a picture of a dead child on it. And it's an actual dead child. It is actually taken from, like, a murder scene. It's from the MacDonald family murder case, and it's not done so in a disrespectful way. The album is fundamentally a concept album about that criminal case. It's a very interesting criminal case if you want to go check that out, MacDonald. And yeah, basically, the whole album is about that, and it's not really done in a disrespectful way. they are basically, they consider themselves a post-black metal band, with some depressive, suicidal black metal influences in there. Very unique sound, and on top of that, it just hits you in the feels, because when I first started listening to it, I was like, "That's disrespectful as shit." I went and looked it up, and I was like, "Holy shit! Why?" Like, I thought they were just doing it to be edgy, but really, like, you can feel the fucking emotion coming off of that album, and that's what really gets me. Is it's like, I can't just throw on that album whenever I feel like it, because it's a really fucking dark, sad song. And I really think it's more of a tribute to the people who lost their lives in that criminal case than it is just trying to be edgy and be like, look, this is what we put on their album to be like, oh my god, so brutal. It's not like that at all. And I really look forward to hearing more from them, because, like I said, I really like concept albums like that. I really like stories. I'm a big history nerd, so that is kind of part of why I get into certain bands, is because of the storytelling in them. And I think Numenorean is going to make a huge wave in the fucking world of black metal. They only have one album out, and it's not been out for super long. But it is just, it's mind-numbing. It gives me the fucking chills. It is just, it's a work of tragedy, of art tragedy, I don't even know how else to put it. Along similar lines of that, Woods of Desolation, with such a title of a band, you could assume that they are a little more sad, creepy, atmospheric, and you would be right. I basically would look at them as a suicidal, depressive black metal band, with atmospheric black metal just kind of like mixed in. Because both those genres or subgenres, while very similar, do have slightly different sounds and feel to the music, but they basically blended together. And I really like it, because I'm a lot more of an atmospheric kind of guy myself, and not like super into depressive, suicidal black metal. It's not really my thing. I kind of went through an emo phase already, and that was that, and this is this. So it's not really like my thing. But I really like that, and with Numenorean, because it's not like cliche emo kids trying to be edgy by making black metal. There's something to it. It literally feels like you are trapped in a forest, just trying to get by and survive. You can really get the feeling of paranoia and fear in their music, and just hopelessness. And I know that might not be an attractive thing, no one wants to feel those things, but to feel those sort of emotions from listening to some of their albums, they're doing something right musically if they can convey those sort of feelings in their music. It's not an easy task to do that. That's why I love Woods of Desolation. The next band, similarly, they're more atmospheric black metal, but they don't really consider themselves it to a 100% degree. That's Wolves in the Throne Room. They're really like one of the only American black metal bands that I really enjoy. Atmospheric, but they kind of change things up, and they're not purely just an atmospheric band. They say that they play black metal on their own terms. This is a quote that they've said before. And I just really like it. It just makes me feel like, it's the music I listen to when it is foggy outside, when it's like rainy and dark and creepy. It's Wolves in the Throne Room type time. If there's fog, boom, Wolves in the Throne Room. That's what the fuck it's about.